Well, it looks like they gave me a script. So they didn't give him a script, so I don't know. But it really looks like a really fascinating day. And I see a number of my constituents from the coast side and from Pacifica. Really glad to see, I guess we have a student from Terra Nova High School, which is really a great high school in Pacifica, so I'm glad to see that. This is the fourth convening. It really is great to see so many people that are here. And, you know, it's really, I was thinking about this morning that many of our constituents, at least for us elected officials, you know, they don't really think on a daily basis about sea level rise. They just don't, because that's not, you know, they go home and they have their own lives to lead. And so it really becomes, you know, incumbent upon us to actually get that information out to people, mostly because we want to make sure that we make good decisions, that government, developers, that homeowners make actually good decisions based on good information. And I was thinking about one of the things, a project that we have on the south coast of Pescadero. And Pescadero is a very, if you've ever been there, it's a really cute, really small little town, kind of an agricultural town. And it suffered from flooding for years. And you know what happens is that the creek overflows and cuts the road off, and so the town is essentially cut off. And the fire station is on one side, and the town is on the other. And so if there's ever a need for somebody for medical services, or a fire, that engine can't get to them. So we end up having to have an engine on the other side and keep one over on the other side, an ambulance also on the south coast to be able to get through to that town. So when I first got elected, what was one of my priorities, and I know Dave's been out there to take a look at it as well, and we were thinking, how do you solve this problem? And it's not just the flooding, by the way, it's also, this is a watershed of about, I think it's about 80 square miles. And so it took 8 years of trying to figure this out. And the local residents, all they wanted to do is get a backhoe in there and dig out the marsh. Well, the marsh has got coho salmon, or potential coho salmon, it's got steelhead, tidewater gobies. I've never seen one, but they tell me they're there. I have no idea what it looks like. And I've learned a lot more about this environmental stuff or environmental, I don't mean stuff, but environmental issues than before. But in that case, it took us 8 years, and I'm happy to say that today we're starting that process of actually dredging the marsh in a way that's going to improve the potential. Well, it doesn't eliminate flooding, but it'll improve it to the point where, unless it's a major storm, it won't cut off the town. But what it really does, and what I'm most excited about, is it actually improves the water quality in this marsh, and so that we think we could reintroduce coho salmon. So it's one of the more exciting projects that we're starting at this week. It's taken about 3 or 4 months. If you ever get a chance to go and take a look at it, it's a really fascinating project. But at the same time, then, Deborah Hurst, who works with my staff, is kind of my environmental person. Many of you probably know her. She showed me the other day maps, because we are working on the sea level rise for the whole south coast. We've already done a mapping for the north coast. But it was dismaying to see what Pescadero might look like in 10 years. So, which brings me back to that point about residents don't necessarily know that. They don't necessarily know what's going to happen to their town. So it's important that they know that this is something that we all have to deal with and we have to be prepared for. And in any case, you know, the topics today are really fascinating. The first one that talks about beyond the bathtub. I love that one. And the reason I like that, it's Marcus is in there, because when we first started talking about that project out at Coastside, everybody said, oh, if you do this thing, it'd just be like a bathtub. Well, you really had to do a much more thoughtful process. So we worked with the state of California. Actually, I went always up to John Laird at the state to get his buy-in. We had the companies at the CBEC that did the studying, worked with the state parks, with NOAA, with the Resource Conservation District, and eventually we did it. So all the processes and projects are possible work as long as we work together. But at the same time, you know, I just mentioned in Pacifica, we do have kind of Pacifica is also a town that has a lot of challenges. And there's a conflict between people who say manage retreat and other people who say asset protection. Well, you know, I have to tell, sometimes I have to tell some of my constituents that when you're saying asset protection, what you're saying is, I want those other people to pay to protect my property. Whether, maybe they'll do it, maybe they won't. But it's a tension that we as elected officials have to deal with. And I think educating people is the best thing that we could do. So I'm really glad to see so many of you here. I don't want to take all the airtime from my great friend and colleague, Dave Pine.